do you want to answer this?
Should we take some questions?
Yeah. Sure.
All right. So first question that came in advance from somebody in the press was, do I need a special T-Mobile plan? And as I said in my remarks, we're not here to announce the product yet, but my vision for this is that on our most popular plans, we're just going to go ahead and include this. And we feel like that's what the Un-carrier does. That's important. Now, there may be low-cost plans that don't include it, and there our aspiration is to charge a monthly service fee that will be far less than the monthly service fees charged by today's satellite connectivity services. But for the most popular plans at T-Mobile, our vision is to just go ahead and include it for free, just like we did with the global connectivity for our cellular roaming partners all around the world.
So do Starlink satellites have to be reprogrammed to communicate using T-Mobile's radio band? Actually, we need to do more than simply reprogram the satellites. We are constructing special antenna. Like I said, they're actually very big antenna that are also extremely advanced. They're the most advanced phased array antennas in the world, we think. And it has to be, the antennas have to be extremely advanced because they've got to pick up a very quiet signal from your cell phone. And you can imagine if that's like cell phone, that signal's got to travel 500 miles and then be caught by a satellite that's traveling 17,000 miles an hour. And the satellite's got to compensate for the Doppler effect of moving so fast. So this is really quite a difficult technical challenge. But we have it working in the lab, and we're confident this will work in the field. So it's actually quite a lot of extra hardware on the satellites, and it's also a lot of software, yes. It's a hard problem. That's why it's not been solved before.
So the question is the invitation for all carriers across the world or just the U.S. to start? One of the beautiful things about satellites is that they orbit the Earth. And so, our mutual view was the more companies around the world we can get signed up for this, the way T-Mobile is signing up for it tonight, the better. Because, and what we're offering is reciprocal roaming, so that our spectrum, which will be transmitted by the satellites all around the United States, including territorial waters, vast portions of Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, big swaths of the ocean potentially, will be available to visitors in the United States that have carriers all over the world. And our view is that the best way to do this would be to ask them to also participate, find a piece of mid-band spectrum in their country from their carrier that they can dedicate to this in partnership with SpaceX, and then our customers would benefit from the same thing when our customers visit their country. And that's one way this could roll out. And so tonight's message is a call to those carriers to get involved and join the party.
So so this is an open invitation to carriers around the world. Please get in touch with us, and we'd love to partner with you and enable this globally. So, yeah.
Next question right in front of us, will Starlink handle any of T-Mobile's backhaul transport? Well, we're open to that, and we're partners now. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and it's, I'm a Starlink customer, so I use the Starlink service right now, and it has blown my mind. I mean, it's an amazing service with massive capacity and speed, and in my experience, fantastic reliability. And so, I do think there's an opportunity as we reach further and further into certain rural areas to make that the way we reach people with full voice data and messaging services. And so, certainly we're open to that. Yeah, you want to do, yeah, okay. Does participating messaging apps mean iPhone users on this Starlink connection will be on iMessage as usual, and Android users will be on RCS? We haven't actually we just announced this moments ago, we haven't actually begun working with other companies as to how they will integrate with us. But the reason we said select messaging apps is because it's a bit of a technical problem that we need help from the partner with in order to separate messaging traffic from all other data traffic. We've done this before with prior initiatives at T-Mobile. We know how to do it, but sometimes we need a little bit of involvement from partners. We also need to make sure that their working with us in a payload-aware way. And so our opportunity over this next few months is to open up a program and invite messaging apps to participate such that they are reaching our network in a way that our network can see and separate the messaging traffic and make it available to participate in this service right out of the gate. So that's the vision. And our partners in the internet have worked with us before. Years ago, we did Music Freedom, and we were the first company to allow you to stream all your music free at T-Mobile back when you sold data by the data bucket. And so we've been through this journey before, and that's basically how it'll work.
Yeah, I think an important thing, though, is that you will not need to get a new phone. The phone you currently have will work. So, yeah. Yeah, so some audience questions?
Yeah, hey guys. Thanks for doing this. Question for Elon. Eric Berger from Ars Technica. You said the Gen 2 antennas are very big. Can you talk about how big those are? Sort of.
So big.
But I mean, NASA has had some issues with another company's antennas because they were really big. So I'm just trying to get a sense of like how big they are, and then like how many of these can actually fit in the Falcon 9 payload fairing, because you've been talking about launching that in addition to Starship. So thanks.
Yeah, so we think like this service will be primarily a Starlink V2 satellite. The Starlink V2 is the main body of the satellite is about 7 meters long, so call it maybe 40% longer than an SUV. And then the antennas that we're talking about here would be supplemental to the KU and KA antennas that we're currently using on Starlink 1 and to the laser links. So the Starlink 2 satellites, we intend to have KA, KU, improved KA, KU, and obviously the laser links. And then in addition, we would fold out the sort of cell spectrum antenna that would be also quite large, so on the order of 5 or 6 meters on a side, so roughly 25 square meters.
And then can you get those in the Falcon 9 payload fairing?
The Starlink V2 is meant for Starship. We might, yeah, it's meant for Starship, like those things. So the Starlink V2 satellites are very large and too big to fit in a Falcon 9. But we are actually looking at an interim solution, which is like a sort of Starlink V2 Mini that would maybe launch if the Starship program is delayed longer than expected. We'd launch a sort of a smaller Starlink V2 kind of Mini that would fit on a Falcon 9.
Thank you.
I almost tripped. Andrew Clifford, it's nice to be here. Thanks for putting this on. I'm with TLPN Network and the Launchpad Official. So I guess the first question, I just have like a question about the technical difficulties that you ran into getting up to this point and actually being able to decide that this was worth pursuing. Like, what was the hardest technical hurdle to get past? And before beta, is there going to be an opportunity for like emergency services or anybody to kind of get their hands in on this to see how well it works?
So yeah, as soon as we have the satellites in orbit, we will try to enable them to connect to cell phones for emergency services. So you actually don't need, unlike a real-time connection, you don't need to have the full constellation of satellites active in order to transmit text messages or email, for that matter. So any kind of asynchronous communication will work even if there's only one satellite. Now, of course, we are constrained by regulatory approval. But from a technical standpoint, it should work even when there's only a handful of satellites in orbit, because of the asynchronous nature of text messaging and email. You might just have to wait, I don't know, a half an hour maybe for the thing to go through, but it should still work from the early on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Elon. Luis Balderas with Lab Padre Media. Good to see you again.
I see.
Had a couple of off-topic questions, but I'm going to skip those.
Yeah, we got to stay on topic, otherwise.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, with this new technology, will this eliminate international plans? And you talked about download speeds. What about upload speeds?
Yeah, this will not. I do want to. Like this is an amazing thing that we're unveiling, but I do want to make sure that it's understood in the right context. So, the size of the cell that it will be quite large compared to the space-based cell system. The area of the cell will be large compared to a terrestrial system. So this is really meant for places that don't have cell tower connectivity, because although it's like maybe 2 to 4 megabits capability, that's what the capability is for the entire cell. So if you've got we're talking about like 1 to 2,000 voice calls per cell, but that cell is going to be quite large. And so it really is, it's not a substitute for ground cell stations, because ground cell stations, especially in urban and suburban areas, will definitely be superior to what we're talking about here. This is really meant to provide basic coverage to areas that are currently completely dead.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
Good evening, Christian Von Pricing with KRGV here in Westlake, a local affiliate. I wanted to ask about situations that we have here in the Rio Grande Valley and in South Texas. The winter freeze, hurricane, big floods, situations where we kind of run out of bandwidth, we start losing cellular connectivity. It affects everyday people, it affects the first responders. So with what you were talking about earlier, is it going to help assist with that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in. It's one of the big benefits of this is redundancy. And one of the big priorities of our industry, and I know of the FCC who regulates us, is redundancy. And one of the things about starting next year with messaging, as opposed to trying to plunge right into voice and data right away, is that with messaging, we should be able to handle a lot of messages, many, many thousands of messages that can be sent. And so when you do have outages that happen through natural disasters or otherwise, there's an opportunity for people at scale to be connected in real time. And Elon was saying there could be a lag at first, but he's talking about before we reach commercial service, right? So eventually, as we hit commercial service and even beta, this is real-time messaging where you send a message, you get an answer. You know, you're connected. And by limiting it to messaging in the early going, it allows us to address use cases like that, complete redundancy to cellular networks, which are subject to the weather because they're here on planet Earth.
Yeah, but this really is a big deal. It's a great question to ask, because yeah, even if an entire region or country was lost connectivity because of a severe, hurricane or floods or fires or tornadoes, earthquakes, there's so many natural disasters, obviously, you would actually still have, even if all the cell towers were taken out, your phone would still work.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Evelyn Arevalo for Tasmanian.com. How many Starlink users can a single Starlink satellite support?
So in this context for this application, we're talking about roughly 2 to 4 megabits per cell zone. So it depends on how many people are in that cell zone. You divide that bandwidth by the number of people in the cell zone and who are using it simultaneously. So since a voice call is about 2 kilobits, that's 1 to 2,000 simultaneous voice calls, or there's hundreds of thousands of text messages that could be sent depending on the length of the text message.
Thank you.
We have some coming in while you're coming to the stage. We have some coming in from online at Isaac Swede. How will the phones connect to Starlink? Any special hardware required? I think Elon got at this a little bit. One of the beauties of this approach is that we are using existing T-Mobile mid-band PCS spectrum, some of the most tried and true spectrum there is, and we own it nationwide. It's one of the pieces that we own contiguous on every single corner of the country. So that allows us to then dedicate that, working together, to the constellation that Starlink operates, so that we are seeing those satellites from every corner of the country. You know, as we said in the remarks, if you have a clear view of the sky, our vision is you're connected. And so your phone doesn't really know. You know, your phone doesn't know it's connecting to space. It will scan for its home network. It'll scan for terrestrial roaming partners as well. And if it fails to see those things, it will scan again, and it will connect to the authorized connection from the satellite. And it'll think it's connected to a cell tower, because that phone is using industry standard technology communication protocols, and it has the spectrum already built in. At least the vast majority of phones in circulation today do.
Yeah, it's designed to just fully emulate a cell tower. And it has to do, there's quite a bit of complex hardware and software in that, because it is moving so fast. They're traveling overhead at 17,000 miles an hour. Normally a cell phone tower does not travel at 17,000 miles an hour. So the phone's like, so we actually have to adjust the signal to account for something called the Doppler effect, which is sort of a increase in frequency as you comes towards you, and a decrease as it goes away. Yeah, anyway, but anyway, it works. It's complicated, but it works, and no extra hardware is needed.
Yeah, hey, Paul Michaels with Ocean Camera Space Corp. So both companies are going to work together, kind of contribute different infrastructure together to build a bigger network and stuff. How do you see this maybe going further into the solar system, maybe future partnership there?
Well, we'd love to have T-Mobile on Mars.
There you go.
That might be the last question, perhaps? Okay, well, I guess thanks, everyone, and we look forward to providing you with this great service and working together with T-Mobile to bring it to you. So, yeah.